Hey guys, so what we have here is the Diatone Roma. It's a 5-inch freestyle quad. This is the 6S DJI compatible Vista equipped version, and I was really keen on getting this one for a review because, mainly because it seems to be such an incredible value for money. This thing is 300 US dollars, around 250 euros. And honestly, for what I've seen in the spec for a 6S DJI equipped quad, this just seems pretty incredible. So I really hope I won't be disappointed by this one, but let's unbox this thing and let's see how good it really is and how much value you actually get for your money. Alright, so let's take it out of the box. It does come in a pretty nice box indeed. And this is it. Alright, so let's go through this. So we have, obviously the quad does come with some motor protection, but let's put this aside for a second and check out what's in the box. Alright, so we have, what is this? This seems to be part of the Cadex Vista, so it will be interesting if it's, I don't know why they would include an extra cable for the Vista, because it seems to be already connected. Yeah, it is. It's already connected, so might be a spare. That's, if that's the case, that's a good thing indeed. We got some props. So these are FX props, and especially for that value, nice that they include these branded props. We get an antenna. This is also interesting that it does not just come with the stock Vista antenna, but it does come with this sort of upgrade. I don't know if it's better actually an upgrade, but you can see they put a lot of care into this. It's not just included the stock Vista antenna, obviously LHCP for the DJI system, and then we get an entire box of plastic parts, and these are, which is very interesting, these are molded. This is not your average 3D print, and to me this shows that, all of the presentation here shows, it seems like our FPV products and FPV brands do seem to get more professional. This does more seem like a real consumer product. It looks less, everything here looks less improvised. These are molded parts. It's just not just, 3D prints that you could as well just do at home. So I think we do get, these are the plastic protections for the arms. We do get a second set in black. Then it does have a black and a white set of these protection things here, and I think these just snap onto the frame to protect your stack like this. So that's a nice touch too. This can actually really protect your stack if you're especially if you're crashing in something like a tree. So good thing. Entire box of these, so one set in black, one set in white. We do get a, that's obviously a GoPro mount. There's two of them. No, what is that? Let me check. So this is obviously the GoPro, a standard GoPro mount that goes on top of the frame. The one is also molded. Is this, I think this is simple ABS. This does not seem to be glass fiber or graphite reinforced plastic. Is there any glass fiber in there? Doesn't seem so. I think it's just a simple ABS, but still very nice that it's molded. What is this? I think this is, okay, so it gives you sort of a mounting plate where you could mount anything on or glue it. I don't know what exactly you're supposed to use this for, not sure, but okay, it's included. that's the screw. It even comes with a little hex key for the GoPro mount. So it's quite cool. This is for the receiver connection. So obviously they do. Let's open this up. What do we have here? So, Diatone support. Okay, so this is, okay, that seems to be in case you connect an FR Sky RXSR receiver, and this one I guess you will use for crossfire, because it does, and that's also a nice thing, it just does have a little connector here for your receiver. So if you have an RXSR, you can just plug it in with crossfire. You'll have to use this one and solder it, but again, really nice. So if you're using an RXSR, you're going to be able to connect this in just maybe a second. Then some more parts. This unboxing is taking a long time. I mean, especially for the price, there's just so much stuff. All right, so battery pads, nice. Wow, what is this? Jesus. This is an entire set of spare screws, okay? I mean, that's not, I mean, it's not like you need those. This same thing seems to be fully assembled. These are actually spares. That is incredibly nice. 3x16, 13. I mean, that especially if you're a beginner and you don't have a, you know, sometimes you're just lacking spare stuff like screws, and I still remember that when I started off. That is really nice to include that. These are the prop nuts. Oh, I think I mean, speaking of spare parts, they could have included a 5th or 6th of these, because you tend to sometimes, you know, lose them in the field while unscrewing a prop. They just fall in the grass and they're gone. Would have been nice if they included an extra set of these. Then we have some antenna mounts for FreeSky, little caps that go on these mounts. That is a spare connector between the FC and the ESCs. We have some zip ties, also super nice. We have 2 battery straps, some more spare screws. I don't know what exactly these are made for. Oh, and there's a, this is a buzzer. That is really nice. I'll have to check out how to connect this one. This is obviously just a connector for ground and probably 5 volts. Not sure how this is going to connect to the FC, but it is included. I mean, not sure why they didn't mount this one. That's a bit puzzling. I mean, if you're going to include this, I mean, you might as well just put it in. But okay, it does include a little buzzer. Some extra mounting plates here. That's also quite nice. I'm not sure what you're gonna use them for, but I think you might put this, there's some space on top of the flight controller, so you might put this on top to strap your receiver to it, or even on top of the Vista. There's some space. Alright, but that's what's in the box, and honestly, this is pretty impressive, especially for that price. Quite cool. Alright, so let's take a closer look at that quad. First, let's check out the frame. So most obviously, yes, as already mentioned, it does come with these molded parts here. There are some here up front, on the arms, and here on the side to protect your stack. So that is pretty nice. Let's look at the carbon fiber. I mean, this looks really nice. This is nicely machined carbon fiber, so they didn't save any money here. So I'm really trying to figure out how they made this thing basically so cheap. It's, as you can see, all the edges are chamfered here on the arms as well. So this is really quite high manufacturing quality on the carbon. It's even got some, you know, decorations here, engraved Roma name, some cutouts here. So very high quality machining, obviously. And this thing does have the Vista. This is not the Nebula. It's got the actual Vista, which alone is already, I think, 140 140 euros on a DNF that only costs 300, so there's only like 160 left for the entire quad here. So actually, I'm really trying to find where they save this money, and obviously it is not on the hardware. As you can see, these are non-standard screws here. Are these maybe aluminum? Let me check. Have a little. No, it's steel. They're magnetic. It's steel. But as you can see, these screws are non-standard screws. Looks pretty nice. Let's check out the arms. That is 5mm arms. Bottom plate would be 2.5mm. Top plate is 2.5mm. Bottom plate is also 2.5. So it's a split deck construction here. You have separate bottom plate, higher one in the rear, lower one in the front. And overall, I mean, this frame does look very nice. Very well constructed, machined, anodized aluminum parts, molded plastic parts, chamfered edges, custom hardware. I mean, obviously the frame is not where they save this money. I mean, there are frames, I would say, in that sort of quality range where you would pay almost $100 alone for the frame. So, frame is quite impressive. Let's try to see if they save that money on the motors. Can we find anything cheap about the motors? So let me zoom in a little bit on those motors. All right, so these motors are 22.7.5, 1700 kV. Since this is the 6S version, Mamba Toa. I mean, these seem to be new. I haven't seen these before. Look very nice. Orange. I guess this is, yeah, it's anodized. The rest here is anodized and polished. First look, they look really nice. Hollow shafts. And wait, is this a steel or titanium shaft? Let's get the magnet out. I mean, steel is magnetic. It is a titanium shaft. Jesus, so they didn't save on the motors either, apparently. Yeah, it's got, believe it or not, it does have a titanium hollow shaft. So, let's see, does it have, yeah, it's got proper curved magnets. I'm sorry, this is a bit difficult to get on camera. Proper curved magnets and a tiny air gap. It's got this little lid here protecting the motors. Honestly, these do look like they are made by Arcene Power. Honestly, and I know this is one of the more expensive manufacturers. Very interesting. So single-stranded wire too. I don't think these are cheap motors either. Let's see how the bearings sound. Okay, this one does ring a little bit. I don't know if you can hear this on video. You can hear a bit of sort of a ringing noise, which isn't good. Check out the other ones. Oh, this one's perfect. Yep, the ones sound perfect too in comparison. I guess you can notice it. But, so I'm not sure. Might be rather cheap bearings on the motors. The rest of the motors is very premium construction. We have titanium shafts. We have this protective lid here securing the magnets. We have curved magnets. We have single-stranded wire. So these seem to be very high quality motors too. So that's also not where they save money to make this thing good value for money, basically. All right, so let's check out the rest of the quad. All right, so I just took the top plate off so we can check out the insides of this quad. So obviously, I mean, Vista camera, and again, this is the more expensive one compared to the Nebula. But I found one thing where they obviously saved a little bit. This is an f405, it's not an f7. Is it really a downside? I don't think so. It might be a little less future-proof. It's got less processing power than an f7. But for now, I mean, it can still run the latest Betaflight with all the bells and whistles. So unless something pops up that is too much for an F4 to handle, but there isn't anything yet, you will not notice any difference between an F4 and F7 in flight. So the flight controller has been around for a while, pretty standard, but also pretty good, and this should work without any issue. We have a little cap here, so this is an, what is this? 35 volt 470 microfarad, so it's quite good and necessary on 6S. Here's the Vista, and let's check out the ESC. So this is all super clean. This is all just plugged in here. It's very little soldering on the FC. Come on. All right, so nice. So it's even, we have, this is to shield from RF noise, electromagnetic noise, so that is produced by the ESC and might impact the flight controller here. So this one is, there's two shields on here. There seems to be an additional, no wait, what is this? There seems to be an aluminum plate on the flight controller. So I would guess that this is this, what is this on? Is this on, yeah, that's on the MCU. That's on the F4 chip. This seems to be for cooling the chip. It does have these two protective plates here. That's just a copper plate protecting from electromagnetic radiation, probably produced by the ESC. Just remove this and see what's underneath. Alrighty, so here's the ESC. This does seem to be, I think this is the F50 ESC. So you can see it does have quite a lot of capacitors on there. That should be good for filtering. It's got it's a BL Heli 32, obviously, so they didn't save here. And these things have gone up in price regarding hardware quite a lot lately, so it makes it even more impressive. Current sensors are these here. Let's flip this around. Yes, it does say it's an F50 Pro, so 6S, I think 50 amps ESC, so shouldn't have any trouble here with your ESC, and that's about it. I would say you have, they did include this little buzzer here again. I really don't know why on earth they didn't just mount it already, but you're gonna have plenty of space to put this in here, and I really recommend you do that. I mean, these things are really coming quite handy. You might even want one. You can get one for like $10 with an extra battery that is independent. It still beeps if you unplug the battery in a crash. These are really worth it. There's nothing worse than the feeling of crashing, ripping off the battery, not finding your quad anymore in tall grass, and especially in tall grass. I mean, you might be standing right next to that thing and it's impossible to see it. Really, at least build in this buzzer before you fly the first time, or get one with an independent battery, which is the best because you have some space here behind the camera to put it in. And that's about it. That's everything that is in here. So let's put this back together. All right, so this is really quite impressive so far. What more can I say about it? Yeah, let's quickly put it on a scale. What do we have? 360 grams. Okay, that's a fairly average weight for such a 5-inch freestyle frame. Antenna mount in the back. I mean, really quite clean solution here. They have this SMA adapter connected to the Vista, so you can mount pretty much any LHCP or RHCP if you have RHCP antennas on your DJI system on there. There's a mount, and also, I mean, this is a pretty nice 3D print. Noticeably nice 3D print quality. This mount here will fit a Crossfire antenna. Let me see. You have to use a bit of violence, obviously. Yeah, here we go. So, works with Crossfire, but also in case you're using a FreeSky or any other 2.4 gig receiver, I think. Yeah, I'll probably put those in here. I think I might go for this XM Plus here, since I'm in short supply of Crossfire receivers. And basically then all I have to do is wire this up. So if I had an RXSI, I could just plug this in into the connector on the RXSI. I have an XM Plus, so I'll have to solder this, and it does have to seem to have some sort of I don't know if it's a software or hardware, probably software inverter in here, because you don't have to desolder anything if you're switching from Crossfire to Freestyle, obviously, because these do supply an inverted signal, and I don't think Crossfire does. So I'll have to check that out, how to connect it. I'll have to check this in Betaflight, but basically all I have to do is connect this here, put the antennas in, and I should be ready to now go out and test this thing. And I mean, just to clarify this, I'm really not, since it sounds like I'm shamelessly advertising this thing, but I mean, I'm not paid by Diatone or Banggood or anyone to do this review. Of course, I mean, I got this sample for free, and I mean, it's not like they pushed this one, so we really choose this one because it did look pretty good. And honestly, so far, I am genuinely impressed by this product, by how professional the entire presentation is, by the quality. Really, the only thing I could find where they saved a little bit of money was on the F4 instead of F7. Everything else is super impressive. Really, the only thing, and I'm very sure it's gonna fly well. There's nothing that worries me here. Only thing, maybe, I'm not 100% sure about the bearings on these motors. They look really high quality, but this one sounds a bit weird, and I think Diatone has a little bit of a history of bearing issues on the motor, so I'll have to check that out, how they sound after flying a few packs, if they have durability issues. But in any case, it's not a huge deal breaker. You can change the bearings on a motor. If they break, it shouldn't be a massive problem. But enough of the tech talk. Let's hook up the receiver and let's get this thing outside and fly it and see if we can find any issue with it while flying it. But so far, very impressive, very nice. Okay, let's get this thing outside. Alright, so one more thing before we go flying. So I just set up my receiver. I did bind it to my Tango 2 Pro with a multi-protocol module. So this is the V3 board in there. First time I used the multi-protocol binding was working without any issue. And in Betaflight, this quad is already set up for S-Bus receivers. So if you connect a FreeSky receiver to it, it's enough to just solder it up, bind it, and it's going to work. You just have to check your channel map. Mine wasn't correct, so you have to map the channels, of course. Set your modes, maybe your rates, depending on your preferences. And then this thing is basically good to go. Obviously, if you're using the DJI radio controller, it's already connected to the Vista. You basically don't have to do anything. It's also going to communicate through S-Bus with your flight controller. So this thing basically for the DJI controller and any FreeSky controller is pretty much good to go. Although, of course, I recommend you really check Betaflight before you go flying, mainly because of the channel map that might be off. Now, I also added a naked GoPro. I mean, it does come with this standard GoPro mount here. Mine actually did fit quite badly. I had to sand off a little bit of material on this mount here, but not too bad. I think it's cool that it does come with a standard GoPro mount. Now, these things are a bit controversial. Many people do criticize them because obviously if you do crash really hard, this is where it's gonna break. Now, in my opinion, this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. So the logic is basically, okay, if you're gonna crash at 100 kilometers an hour into a wall, a tree, the ground, anything, there is a lot of energy. This thing is moving, there's kinetic energy, and this kinetic energy has to go somewhere. And if you're hitting the GoPro, and the GoPro is really solidly mounted to your frame in TPU and doesn't go anywhere, well, the GoPro is gonna take the impact. So I'd rather have a cheap bit of plastic breaking off, sparing my GoPro, absorbing the energy of the crash, and probably saving my GoPro from absorbing the entire kinetic energy of the entire quad and the battery and everything. So to me, this is a good thing. Other upside is it's angle adjustable, it's flexible. I mean, I can put anything on there. GoPro 6, 7, 8, this naked GoPro, there's tons of mounts for it, so it's going to work with everything. In my opinion, this is really the best solution for most people. Now, I don't know if they sell these separately. I think it would be cool if they would include, if they would publish an STL file so you can print a spare if you need one. But apart from that, works great. For the naked GoPro, if you're using one, the flight controller does have a 9-volt supply for the Vista. I think I will simply solder on a connector to that, and this will allow me to power the naked GoPro, because otherwise I would be in trouble. I cannot power this directly from 6S. 5 volt is also not enough, so it's great that this does have a 9-volt supply. This will allow me to work with this naked GoPro here, which saves a ton of weight, saves roughly 100 grams, even on such a high-powered 6S 5-inch. 100 grams is quite a lot, so that's really a good thing. All right, enough of the talking now. Let's get this thing outside and airborne. Alright, now the first thing I noticed was really not very good. Namely, when I went off the throttle, I completely lost control of the quad. So you can see how it's tumbling around here. I'm doing it again, punch out, getting off the throttle, and the quad is losing control basically. Tumbling around, completely loose, so there is a problem. And I think the problem was basically that idle speed of the motors was too low. I set it to 7% and then it worked almost fine, but something is off with this tune. I think maybe you might also lack some I-term. So unfortunately, and I really don't understand it, because something you immediately notice there is something slightly wrong with the pit tune. So what I would recommend you do is basically just set it on back to a stock tune and increase the idle throttle a little bit. That should solve most of the problems. Apart from that, I mean, the quad handles very nicely, plenty of power, 6S obviously. The motors are very smooth, surprisingly. I mean, there seems to be more of a Freestyle spec motor, so they handle very smoothly, very nicely in control. Absolutely nice handling. I didn't notice anything negative about the bearings or anything misbehaving. Everything was absolutely fine. Unfortunately, I do not have the GoPro footage, because something was wrong with the GoPro. I think it just got too cold. Seems like the GoPro always shut off after a couple of seconds. But I mean, this is the DJI goggle DVR, and obviously this just looks absolutely gorgeous on 50 megabits per second. So yeah, conclusion here. It's not only great value for money, this thing also flies pretty well. Unfortunately, I really don't understand how they managed to do that, but Diatone seems to have messed up the tune of the quad. So that's really the only downside, and it's super unfortunate, because that would have been, I mean, with all the care they put in this product, it would have been absolutely preventable to not have this issue with the tune, that the quad basically goes completely out of control if you go off the throttle after a punch out. So really unfortunate, but apart from that, I think this is a very good product. But I mean, this tune issue might put off beginners that do not want to have to deal with tuning the quad and adjusting a lot of settings in Betaflight. Alright guys, I hope you found this interesting and useful, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye.